The markings on the throat plate are great. They are both in inches and metric. So always look at the pattern that you're working with and they'll specify a seam allowance amount. Some is 1/4 inch, 3/8, 1/2 inch, 5/8. They're all different. So always note which one it is before you start out. Just take your fabric. If it's a 5/8 inch seam allowance, just put it right up to that edge there and start stitching, keeping your eye right along the edge. Now, you also have in your machine a seam guide. This seam guide can fit into the back part of the machine. I'm going to go ahead and bring my foot up and show you what it looks like. Right back here, there's a red opening. You're going to need to kind of force it in there. It's nice and tight so it doesn't move when you're actually using it. And this particular one sticks out on the right side of the foot. So then you have a couple things. Number one, you could set that at that 5/8 mark just to help you stay always on the right one. Kind of like training wheels for your sewing machine. Here we go, slide it in. Perfect. We can start stitching right where we left off. Training wheels, because all you have to do is just kind of keep an eye on that particular little guide there. I'm going to snip that thread that kind of caught up there. Great for children if they're working with the sewing machine, help them stay on track. It's also good should you have a seam allowance that's wider than your throat plate and how it is actually marked. So you could set this out here and easily get, say, a 1.5 inch, or use a little seam guide or gauge, I should say, to measure that out. I've got one handy right here. Then I can measure, set that to where that needs to be, and then have that perfectly measured out for, say, a hem, or even just running decorative stitches row after row and keeping them nice and parallel. That's really nice to have that work there. Because once you've stitched one line and you want to continue on, for example, I'm going to go ahead and set this in just a little ways. There we go. If I want to sew another row right next to it, I can put this seam guide right along our previous line of stitching. And here, let's pick a fun stitch, something quick and easy. How about number 73? Number sign, 73. And then now that stitch will go right beside the line I'm going, nice and parallel. My eye is watching this guide right against the seam, nothing else. See how easy that is? And then keeping your lines parallel. So I could come back over here and keep sewing or add another line, whatever I want to do. If you've purchased other Bernina feet, you're going to find there is a screw on the back of them that when you loosen it, the seam guide will slip into that screw and then you tighten it nice and tight. You can use, I usually use the screwdriver to make sure it doesn't vibrate loose during sewing and move on me. Another thing too is I have seen these little guys running around accessory boxes and bags, and people go, where did that come from? And if you look, if you've bought extra feet, somebody's missing their screw from the back side.